Yes, of course I was going to do one. Scorched Earth is out, and Spartacus is here to guide you to the ultimate goal of ascension. But for that, you will need to venture into the scorching desert, face the almighty elements, dive into the depths of ancient cities, and face unimaginable mythical terrors. That's what Scorched Earth is all about. Sounds quite rough, right? But fear not, for I am here to help you get through this map. Since this map has only 3 caves and 1 boss, I've decided to combine both the cave guide and the boss guide into one video. First, we're gonna go through the 3 artifact caves, where to find them, which dinos are the best for them, and other useful tips to get through them. Then we'll move on to the Manticore. What's the easiest way to gather the other offerings, which are the best dinos to take on the Manticore, and what are the best strategies to use during the fight. Before that, I want to give a quick shout out to Blue Glue, the guy that not only made our new channel icon and background, but also these 3 awesome emotes that will be available to all channel members once the 2 Scorched Earth emotes are done as well. If you're in need of someone to edit your videos, make you some badges, icons, emotes, or any type of graphic design related work, Blue Glue is definitely your guy. I absolutely love the work he has done for the channel, and I strongly encourage you to go check out his Fiverr page to see more of his work. The link is in the description. So, let's jump into our first cave. From north to south, we have the Grave of the Tyrants. The entrance to this cave is pretty easy to miss in my opinion. When you reach this canyon, you have to push through and keep the left path. The coordinates for the entrance are 28.2 latitude and 29.1 longitude. This is one of those caves that has everything. A lot of tunnels, pathways, water, even rubble golems, everything. Lots of bats as well in this one, so don't come here without your lesser antidote. Unless you wanna die, that is. Now, when it comes to your mount of choice, you have 2 options. The obvious one, the Thylacoleo. A strong mount, amazing HP for a cave mount, decent damage, can climb walls, and probably the only one that can actually take down the rubble golems, thanks to its bleed damage. They're easier to find and tame on Scorched Earth compared to the island, since on this map you find them on the ground and you can't get jumped by them. But I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of wonky at the moment on Ascended, their jump is pretty much busted. Looks like it just stops in midair, but otherwise they're okay. Maybe when this video is out, this will be fixed, I don't know. Now the other one is a glass cannon type of dino, but I guess when you deal so much damage, you don't really need that much health. I'm talking about the Mantis. This thing, with a good pair of swords, can 2-shot most creatures in this cave. They're very good at taking down bats, but they're pretty much useless against rubble golems. So just try and move past them. They can also kind of jump over gaps, and they can enter and exit the cave without problems. Their only other weakness is the Arthropluras, so try to be careful around them. Both of them are great, so pick your poise. It's a tie here. Next we have the Old Tunnels. This one is even harder to find. First, the entrance to the canyon is at 62.8, 44.1. You can recognize the entrance by these walls, but you can also just drop down into the canyon. Go down this path, and where the road splits, you can go either way basically. But it's easier to go to the right, then turn left and go up. Right again. Down this ledge and you've reached the entrance. At 58.8 latitude, 47.7 longitude. Right from the entrance, you can clearly see this is a problematic cave. In Ascended, the Thylacoleo cannot fit through this entrance. The Procoptodon might be the largest that can enter, though I find the Mantis much more useful. The cave is pretty much straightforward, but again, bring your lesser antidote. Better be safe than sorry. You might want to bring some grappling hooks as well, since loot drops tend to spawn in strange areas in this cave. At some point you will reach this room filled with creatures. However, that's unfortunately as far as the Mantis can go. This tunnel right here is even tighter than the entrance. The best creatures available that can go through this tunnel are the Direwolf and the Sabertooth. That's why I'm going with the Sabertooth as the best creature for this cave. It has a saddle, decent damage per second, can access the whole cave, can jump a lot more than the Thyla can on Ascended right now, and it's super fast. Am I missing something? Because I do not remember the Sabertooth being this fast on Ark Survival Evolved. That bright yellow is the artifact. You can basically blitz past all your opponents, get the artifact, and get back to the top in no time. Now, if you do want to get all the loot, you'll have to pretty much clear the whole pit. But try to avoid any rubble golems, because you got no chance against them on the Sabertooth. And our last cave is the Ruins of Nasti. The entrance to this cave is found in the ruined city in the southeast, at 78.9 latitude and 76.1 longitude. By the way, a lot of fasolas are spawning around here, if you need one. Anyways, you have to go to the largest building in the village and enter through the roof. You can either do that with a Procoptodon, or a climber like the Thyla or Megalania, or you can just drop down a creature using an Argent or a Wyvern, and then go down again to pick them up, or use a Cryopod in case of the Wyvern. With that being said, I wouldn't use any other mount except for the Thylacoleo, Procoptodon or Megalania. Now at first sight, the cave might seem empty, but trust me, you need firepower for this one. The road to the artifact is pretty much straightforward. There's only one bifurcation and both roads end up in the same room, this one. There are two ways to get past this huge pit, which by the way is a bottomless pit that instantly kills you. First, the path on the left, where you need to jump precisely, which I absolutely advise you to avoid, and the path to the right, where you need to climb a wall. If you're using a Procoptodon, Thylacoleo or Megalania, you can go with the safe option without problems. Once you climb the wall, you can find the artifact to your left, but this side of the pit also has some rare resources and loot drops if you want. The obvious choice is the Thylacoleo in my opinion, since there are a lot of creatures in this cave. The other two aren't really suited for killing creatures. The Mantis would have been another option, but its jump is extremely imprecise to cross the pit on the left path. Well, that sums up the caves. Now that we have the artifacts, we need the other offerings, the Wyvern Talons. Obviously, one of the best methods to take down Wyverns is using a Lightning Wyvern, but I think setting up some auto turrets can help you secure those Wyvern Talons even faster, at the expense of your bullets, of course. Simply set up some windmills to power up your turrets, place a few and lure the Wyverns towards them. They will shred them. After that, simply collect the Wyvern Talons from their carcasses. Now that we have all the offerings for the Alpha Manticore, we need an army. We have three options in the vanilla game. The Rex, obviously, the Wyvern, and the new and shiny Fasola Sukas. Each one has its own advantages, but first let's take a look at the Manticore's abilities. The Manticore is definitely one of the easier bosses in Ark. It has low health, low damage, but it can fly and use ranged attacks from the air. It has a huge damage resistance and its attacks deal a lot of torpor. It's pretty obvious to me that high damage, high torpor creatures are the way to go regarding the Manticore. Unfortunately, we don't have the Spino on this map, so we'll have to roll with these three. This fight is a very special fight in Ark, as it is one of the very few fights that allow the use of flyers. But do not mix flyers with land creatures, as the Manticore has two different fighting patterns. If it notices flyers enter the arena, it will never land. So if you go with land dinos, stick with land dinos. Regardless of what creatures you decide to use, keep in mind that you do not need as much health as in a regular island boss fight, so you can get away with putting more points into damage if you want. Oh yeah, and always bring a ranged weapon, it will significantly reduce the duration of the fight. Okay, now that we've gone through all of that, let's see what our options bring. The Rex is a good choice based on its sheer strength. They have great damage, great health, though that's not as important, and they have a great torpor pool. But besides that torpor stat, the Rex has no real advantages against the Manticore. But you know, if you already have a Rex army from the island, or you're building one for PvP anyways, yeah, you can use it against the Manticore. Next we have the Wyverns, and I'm talking about the Lightning Wyvern and the Fire Wyvern. Sorry Poison Wyvern, you're my favorite, but your niche is mostly PvP. The obvious advantage with the Wyvern is that they can fly, which means they can fight the Manticore at all times. If you choose to use the Wyverns, first make sure you enable them using their breath attacks, and second, don't mix Wyvern breeds. Lightning Wyverns will be damaged by the Fire Breath, and Fire Wyverns will be damaged by the Lightning Breath, so no mixing. They're probably the best use for this fight, especially if you can get them to some high damage stat. They have only one weakness, and that's the weakness to Torpor, which can be fatal on Alpha difficulty, since the Manticore's Torpor-inducing attack now applies an effect that prevents creature from losing Torpidity, which I don't remember in Evolved. But in the end, this strategy will still work without problems. However, there is one more option, the brand new Fasola Sucus. It has good damage and decent health, but despite my initial thoughts, they do gain Torpor. They do have a huge Torpor stat though, similar to the Rex, and they lose Torpidity twice as fast. Personally, I think this makes no sense, since the Dossier clearly states they can shrug off most narcotics. Anyways, they're a bit clunky when it comes to surrounding the Manticore, and they do take a bit to win the fight, but they get the job done. Their only drawback, in my opinion, is their drag weight, which is quite a bit lower than the UT's. That means the Manticore will primarily target the UT with its range attack, so you might get knocked out. But don't worry, even if that happens, trust in your Fasolas and they will take that thing down, eventually. The Wyverns are probably better, and they're taking the crown on this one. But I'd still take these guys over the Rexes for the sake of using something different on this map. But any of these three are great. And that's it, you just beat Scorched Earth. Don't forget to subscribe if you found the video helpful, give it a like, and tell me in the comments if you want to see a 100 days Scorched Earth video by yours truly. Until next time, Spartacus out.